Welcome back to Royals Weekly. I am your host, Marcus Mead, and joining me as always, he pronounces the word lieutenant like the British way, lieutenant, my brother Mike.
Yeah, I've always been pretentious, so I'm always pronouncing stuff the British way every time.
When he fake salutes, it's like this. It's like one of these.
I fake salute. I go like
it's one of these.
I say Z instead of Z because I'm a weirdo.
It's a lift and not an elevator. Yeah.
No, I ride in the tube, not the subway. You trash.
Yeah,
right?
It's a schedule where he comes from. It's a schedule. It's a schedule, and he reads James Joyce while he looks at his schedule. That's what kind of guy you're dealing with in baseball analysis here. This is a baseball show. Welcome to Royals Weekly. I come to you not live, but recorded from Cooperstown, New York, where I will tomorrow be visiting the Baseball Hall of Fame for the very first time. So I'm sorry if I sound weird. I'm sorry if I look weird. This is Royals Weekly on the road. It's not nearly as clean and crisp as our normal studio, if you will. We're not in the studio right now, and so forgive us for if it sounds a little off. On this week's episode, we're going to review a week that was pretty bad, pretty sad, but ended on a high note. So we can at least be happy right now until the Yankees come to town tomorrow. We'll discuss some positive and some negative surprises from this season during our Spotlight segment, some things that we're surprised have gone pretty well and some things that we're surprised have gone pretty poorly. And then for our final segment about baseball anyway, we'll preview this week's games against the Yankees and Rangers. Always an important week when you're struggling to try and get back into some sort of relevance, and the Royals are going to get the Yankees and Rangers in that journey. If you would like to hear more Royals Weekly content, go ahead and make sure you're subscribing to the Royals Weekly Substack. That's royalsweekly.substack.com. Head there, subscribe. It's only $5 a month, but you get 2 extra episodes every week. One from both Mike and I, which Mike will take solo this week because I'm in Cooperstown, and one from Mike himself on Fridays where he previews the weekend series. Those are excellent episodes. I love listening to the Mike's Watch episodes myself. I find them funny and engaging. A lot of great analysis in there. So you get those 2 extra episodes a week. You get an extra article from me every week. I will remember to write that this week because I forgot to last week because I've been traveling so goddamn much. But I promise I will get to it this week. And then we're going to do some more writing as school's now let out. Mike, you're out of school now, right?
I am out of school. I'm free.
So Mike might have some chance to do some writing for the Royals Weekly Substack too. So make sure you're subscribing to that if you're interested in more content from us. If you also are interested, make sure you're rating and reviewing us everywhere you can. We love to read an Apple Podcast review, and I'm going to prove that by checking to see if we have any this week. I didn't remember to do that. So leave us those Apple Podcast reviews, and we will read them right here on the episode. Sometimes we also like to read the YouTube comments. If they come in, no new podcast, Apple Podcast reviews. But if they come in interesting, or if they have a lot to say, or they're reviewing the podcast as a whole, leave us a YouTube comment. We'll read that as well. But those 5-star ratings, those reviews, those really, really help us out. So please make sure you're doing that and helping other people find the show. We'll start the review of last week with roster news, as we always do. We had a little bit of it to discuss, and most of it pretty not good. Some of it was good. We started with a down note, though. Chris Bubic went on the 15-day IL with left elbow soreness. No more clarity than that. Mike wakes up with left elbow soreness every day, right elbow soreness too. So what does it matter? But no additional clarity on that. Eli Morgan, the relief pitcher, was brought up to fill his roster spot. Mike, what are your thoughts on losing Bubic to the 15-day IL and having Eli Morgan come up to fill some innings in the bullpen?
Well, I'm not worried yet about Bubic, but they need him healthy, and they need him healthy for multiple reasons. If Chris Bubic, if this team's not going to be in contention for a playoff spot, then Chris Bubic is your most valuable trade chip. And when you're a team like the Royals, you have to get value back for those guys. And so if that's going to be what this season is, then we need Bubic healthy and proving that he can be a contributor to a playoff contender. If for some miracle this team gets back into contention, you're going to need him to perform the way you expected him to at the beginning of the season. So they need Chris Bubic. They need him back. I'm not too worried with the very little information we've gotten. It doesn't sound like the team is too worried right now. And so I'm going to stay in a not so worried thing right now, but boy, it's going to, if it gets extended at all, then I'm going to start to worry quite a bit.
Yeah, the value that Bubic holds right now is sort of multifaceted. Obviously, if they're somehow going to crawl their way back into contention, they're going to need a long stretches of great starting pitching. That's where it starts. If you're going to go on a run of some sort, you need, and they've been getting really good starting pitching lately, and you can see that, like, oh, they've at least had the opportunities to win lots of games. They haven't been doing it, but, like, if you get a string of really great starting pitching, you have a chance to win every night. You're winning, 15 of 20 or 14 of 17 or something like that. And that gets you back into a contention in some way. You got to have consistent starting pitching. And that Bubic is capable of having one of those great stretches himself. We've seen him have a number of those over the course of his career. Lucky for the Royals that Stephen Kolek has looked really legit as a starter in Major League Baseball. That is helping them so much because they pretty much exhausted that starter depth. We talked about it, I think, last week or the week before that, or maybe on one of the midweek episodes. Our episodes all blur together now to me. We offer so much content, it all just blurs together. But because Kolek has looked legit as a starter, went out and threw a complete game shutout yesterday, that's helping, relieve some of the pressure of having both Bubic go down and Cole Reagan's still technically on the IL as well. They need Bubic to be healthy, or they need, like, Kolek to stay healthy, or Reagan still. A lot of stuff that really isn't super reliable yet. And so, getting as many of the reliable arms in play as they can will be hugely helpful if they hope at all to go on a run. And if not, they need trade chips. I think Bubic would be an interesting one. Kolek himself would be an interesting one if they wanted to go that route. And so, yeah, important that Bubic gets healthy and back to pitching well. Hopefully that can happen sooner rather than later. The Royals also designated Elias Diaz for assignment and called up Tyler Tolbert. You might know that Diaz is a very veteran catcher. As a result, has no options. And so if the Royals were ever going to cut him from the 26-man, he would have to go through waivers. He would have to be designated for assignment. My guess is he'll be back with Omaha, but we'll see on that front. They did call up Tyler Tolbert. He played in the game today. Mike, what are your thoughts on their third catcher, Elias Diaz, going back, or at least being DFA'd, and Tyler Tolbert coming up?
Yeah. Okay. Diaz was never going to be anybody you wanted to be catching for a lot of games. You have Carter Jensen and Salvador Perez. You want them to do the things you expect them to do. That's and so you want them to catch one of those two catching every day, if possible. So I'm not crushed that Diaz. Now, Tolbert's more interesting to me because I've said that on a good team, a good Tyler Tolbert as your 26th man is an asset, is a way to squeak out 3, 4, 5 wins in a season. But this isn't a good team. So,
no.
like,
although we have seen them struggle in those close games.
It is fun to
right?
watch
like
him in a game, like, or at the end of a game. That's fun.
It is.
He's going to try and steal a base. They're going to be manufacturing runs. That when he's in there anyway. The outfield defense will be solid. He's an exciting guy, but he's not a real needle mover on a team like this. No.
Yeah, on a team like this, it's tough because, the needle movers are anybody who can produce offensively, which isn't really Tyler Tolbert. A lot of versatility defensively, obviously great on the base paths. I think he pinch ran today. Was he pinch running? I think he was pinch running. Ended up scoring a run. And the Royals haven't been great in those close games, but he's not the one who would move the needle. A better bullpen is the one that would move the needle in close games. And so, I don't know that he's a big time contributor in that sense. I do think that now that Perez is healthy again and they have Jensen, that they're much more, that Quatrero would much rather have a late inning weapon in Tyler Tolbert than he would a third catcher in Elias Diaz, who's probably not going to play very much. And so, get Tolbert up here. I assume that Diaz will be back in Omaha because, I think if you're Diaz, you sign with the Royals knowing that this is going to be your role, right? You're going to be a guy who gets DFA'd, goes back to Omaha, comes up when somebody gets hurt, goes back to Omaha. It's just kind of how it's going to work for him. And I don't think another team is going to be like, well, another team might be like, hey, I thought Diaz played pretty well in his time in Major League Baseball. He's kind of reliable as a defensive option, and offensively, he's not nothing with the stick. And so, another team might be like, we need a backup catcher too. And that's just the dicey roll DFAing a guy, but decent chance he's back with Omaha. Decent chance we see him in Major League Baseball again at some point. Mike, some good news on the injury front. This isn't technically a roster move, really. Cole Reagan's made a rehab start in AAA Omaha, I think today. Reports are he felt good, looked good, and may be ready to come back as soon as this week in the Rangers series. That's a little bit quick, and he's only built up to like I think he threw 60 pitches in that rehab outing. What are your thoughts on Reagan's having a successful rehab start and apparently feeling pretty good?
Well, that is better than the alternative of he had a bad rehab start and he's hurt and he felt it again, or he's feeling tightness or whatever it is. That would be really bad. But I mean, if he's ready to come back, I'd give it another 5 days. When you say, okay, Reagans is ready to pitch in Major League Baseball again, I'd give it another 5 days after that. Just because, are you a Cole Reagans away from being a contender right now? No. Do you have to have him in your rotation to probably climb into contention? Yes, I would say, especially where they are with depth. But I just don't know if putting him in here in that rotation makes you so much better that you feel like this team could contend for a playoff spot. And so for me, that's okay, then you're still going to be very cautious. You're still going to be very, very cautious, especially, we aren't privy to what they did with the elbow to rehab it, but I'd be very cautious in that. Yeah. I don't want, and the other kind of thing to factor in here is what was Cole Reagans before he got hurt for this team this year? Real up and down. Now, we don't know how much that was the injury affecting him in any way or whatever, but real up and down. His command was kind of shaky there, especially early in the year. Make sure you have full on Cole Reagans before you bring him back to Major League Baseball, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the most important thing to me is like, it's good to see all this is good. Like, it's better to have good reports like this than bad, but he's got to be the full Reagans to be effective. We've seen him be 80% of the Reagans, and he's not very effective at that. Like, there's something about him that's like, he can't have when he has his, like, they say a third of the time you have your best stuff, a third of the time you have average stuff, and the third time you have your worst stuff. When he has his worst stuff, he actually gets hit really hard, like pretty bad. And today, I think in his rehab start, he threw a fastball to the first hitter he saw that was like 93.5 miles an hour, and the guy hit it out, right? Like, that's like classic Cole Reagans, right? Like, if the fastball's not showing good velocity, he struggles to get guys out. And so he needs to be 100% healthy. He needs to be throwing as hard as he normally does. He needs to be as sharp as he normally is before we ever consider being like, hey, come back up to Major League Baseball and jump into this rotation. I know they're short in the rotation right now. If he stayed out of it for another round through, they'd probably have a bullpen game, but they do have a day off this week. That helps, right? And so they might have a chance to sort of wait a series and rotate him back in at the next one. And then you get a chance to make sure that he's 100% before he goes back out there and tries to face major league hitters who are better than AAA hitters even. On the field last week, it wasn't great. The Royals went 2-4, bringing their overall record to 22-31. That's 9 games under 500. They were swept in a 3-game series against the Boston Red Sox, who coming into that were very bad. I think last in the AL East or something like that. That felt very rock bottom-ish, at least it felt that way. Could get worse, who knows? But after losing the first game of the Mariners series, they were then 11 games under 500 after that first Mariners game. They managed to win the next 2 and take the series against Seattle, which makes us feel maybe a little bit better about the week. But Mike, give me your thoughts on the week as a whole. We can't just narrow our scope to the last 2 games because it feels better.
Yeah. What this week did for me was really cemented what this team is, in my view, for this year. We went through the whole week and we saw an offense that didn't look all that great most of the time. We saw a bullpen that struggled in that Boston series. We saw, kind of starting pitching that was really good. To me, to have a good baseball team, there are really 3 parts: rotation, lineup, bullpen. To be a good contending team, you got to have at least 2 good that can carry a weaker one. Can you say that about these Royals?
I don't think you can. I think, obviously you would say that the rotation is an element of strength for them. The bullpen is worse than we thought it would be. The offense is maybe a little better than it was last year, but still not so good you would call it a strength. And so, yeah, that becomes the big issue there. And, are there times?
It's not like the rotation is very good, maybe even close to being elite, but I wouldn't call it elite. I wouldn't call the bullpen even good, really. So, like, and the lineup
It's tough.
certainly isn't elite. So
There are, and I think another word that sort of defines the team, and this week showed it to us, is inconsistency. And when you mention those three facets, if you think of it like gears of a clock, right? You need those three things to align with consistency. Consistency will make those three things align more often, right? And so, like, we've seen the Royals hit really well one game, but then for some reason Seth Lugo gave up 6 runs that game, or Noah Cameron was nails that game. The offense didn't score at all, and the bullpen blew 2 runs in the 8th, or something like that, right? Like, it's always, they never seem to align with each other, where three facets of the game are all playing well, or at the very least average, right? Like, we saw the bullpen play poorly today because Lucas Erdusik went out and crapped his pants in the 9th inning, but the offense had played so well it didn't really matter, right? Like, and so you don't see those consistency aligning well enough to make this team look like a good baseball team, right? Like,
yeah, but if you think about today's game alone by itself, you had 2 of the 3 facets that worked well,
right,
and did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah,
when the Royals aren't getting 2 of 3 most nights.
No, most nights they're not. They're not. Some nights they're getting, one here and there. That's the thing. There's no element of their team that you point to and you say, like, you've been the worst bullpen in the league. You've been the worst offense in the league. It's not like that. It's more like you've been a bottom third bullpen, a bottom third offense, and that's the fact that you're not hitting consistently is what's keeping this from really clicking, right? Mike, with all that in mind, obviously there were some strong performers, there were some weak performers. We're going to get to both of them. Who was your strong performer for the week? I filled out the outline before you. I left him just so you could talk about him because I know you'd want to.
You did. My boy, Stephen Kolek, you already mentioned him. All right. I've been saying since we traded for Stephen Kolek, he's a player. He's a goer. The guy's got juice.
He's a comer.
All right. 9 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 4 hits, 1 walk, 2 Ks. Just a legend in the making. Really, a legend in the making. No, that should be called a Stephen Kolek, where you get 9 innings pitched, you only strike out 2 guys.
Yeah, fewer than 5 strikeouts, 9 innings pitched.
There we go. But he will, the way that he does it, I think he can be a back end rotation guy in Major League Baseball for a long time. And I said it when we traded for him and Burgert. I said I think he might be the better of the 2. And I think it might be because it's because of consistency. It's because you know exactly what you're getting when Stephen Kolek steps on that mound. And they mentioned it today on the broadcast because they interviewed him. I think it was on today's broadcast. Yeah.
They did interview him today.
And he was like, hey, I knew exactly. They said, exactly the kind of pitcher. I think it was Guthrie or whoever was on the color said, exactly the kind of pitcher that you are and have to be to win.
It was Montgomery. It was Jeff Montgomery.
Montgomery. Okay, Jeff Montgomery. Okay.
I'm so dedicated. I watched the game while driving from Ashland, Ohio to Cooperstown, New York.
Way to go, my man. Way to go.
Yeah. When I say driving, I mean driving.
Yeah.
One of these numbers.
Yeah.
You get it.
Don't get around Mark's vehicle on this road trip, people. You are in grave danger. But just really happy for him and to have the depth that we do. Wish we had more, but there we go. Kolek, make me look smart.
Yeah, that's all. That's what's most important is you're making Mike look smart. Mm-hmm. Another guy sort of in the same vein, we hope he can kind of be the same thing as Stephen Kolek, and he was last year, of course, and kind of getting back to that more recently is Noah Cameron. He's my strong performer for last week. He went 6 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, 0 runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts, which was a career high for him. I think this last couple of starts, both quality starts, getting back to what was successful for him last year, throwing more strikes, using his four-seam fastball more effectively, I think. And it's really getting strike one that's helping him over these last couple of starts. He's in those first few starts he had of the year, he was pitching from behind all the time, and it was just killing him. Like, it's way harder for him to be deceptive when guys are in hitters' counts, and that what they're going to want to do then is just tee off on his four-seam fastball or tee off on his cutter, or they're really going to get the bat head out front, trigger early, and pull balls against him. When he's ahead and he can throw his changeup and he can throw his curveball, and it's a lot more effective in those counts, he has a lot better job inducing weak contact, which is what he's really is his bread and butter, He's not going to be as, in my opinion, reliable and consistent as a Kolek because he's not a ground ball profile. And anybody who's on a fly ball profile has the risk of giving out home runs like we've seen Cameron do. But he can be an effective pitcher in Major League Baseball if he continues to get out in front of hitters, if he continues to pitch ahead of them. He'll have an opportunity to get some strikeouts, utilize that really good curveball and changeup, and, do what it takes to be successful in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and we've seen guys in the past be able to do that, like especially lefties for some reason. Those lefties that don't throw super hard but can just absolutely fill a zone. Dallas Keuchel did it forever with the
Another
sinker,
ground ball guy, though. Can you think of a guy who's not a ground ball guy, lefty? Who
I'm thinking of Cliff Lee was a strike thrower. Now he
threw harder. Yeah,
that's the one. He did throw harder than what Noah Cameron does. Jamie Moyer.
For a long time. Mark Burley. I think he was a ground ball guy too, though. So but there's a formula. It's a thin needlehead. He's got to really thread that needle. It's tough, but it's doable. And I think he's proven that it's doable over long stretches because, you can have a few fluky games. You're not having a fluky season. Like that doesn't really happen. And so the formula is there for him if he continues to keep getting ahead of hitters and throwing strikes. Mike, not everybody was Star Spangled Awesome this last week. Obviously, the Royals went 2-4. Who is the driver of the bus to 2-4 this week?
He's been the driver of the bus to 22-31 or whatever it is.
One of the big ones.
We had to throw the Pasquatch on there again. We visited him a couple times this year. 3 for 18 this week. 1 extra base hit. It was a double. 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. He did throw in a stolen base just for comedy's sake. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's the storyline of why this offense doesn't produce. And so it's hard to say it's just a slow start when we're rolling into June, ladies and gentlemen. And we've seen not a 3-hitter in the middle of our lineup for a majority of the year.
Right. I do think the numbers look a little bit better if you sort of very selectively pick an endpoint that's like, that cuts off most of April or all of April. But still, it wasn't great this last week, and it definitely hasn't. And it's like, you're right. It is one of the primary drivers for why this team is 22-31 right now. The performance of Vinny Pasquantino in the 3-hole and Salvador Perez in the 4-hole. If somebody asked me somebody did ask me the other day, Mom. So I'm here in Cooperstown with our mother. We're doing like a golfing road trip to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And she asked me as we're just sort of driving along, so why are the Royals not doing so great this year? And I was like, trying to distill it down into one simple answer that she could get. And I'm like, basically their 3 and 4 hitter, Vinny Pasquantino and Salvador Perez, have been awful. Like if you had to boil it down to one thing, that would be it. Right. And Vinny Pasquantino, obviously half of that equation. I'm going with another hitter. The Royals sort of are hoping to get big time power outcomes from. That's Jack Caglione, my week performer for last week. He was 5 for 23 with 2 doubles. Good to see the 2 doubles, but 2 RBI, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. He threw in a stolen base as well during the week. I think, interestingly, this is just like an off week for Cags. But another interesting thing that is happening is they're leaving him in. The fan base was like clamoring. Stop taking him out against lefties. They scream at Q all the time. Stop pinch hitting for him late in games against lefties. Let him hit the lefties. And maybe for a developmental purpose, that's a good idea. But in terms of performance, it's a bad idea, right? Because he's not very good against lefties right now. And it's because, all the reasons that you would think he wouldn't be good against lefties. He's swinging at pitches that are pitcher's pitches. He's rolling over, grounding out to the first base side a lot. There's not a lot of hard contact coming from those left-handed pitches. And so, he's getting abused a little bit this last week. Hopefully he shakes himself out of it, gets back to walking a little bit more and so being a little more selective and gets back into a groove because they need his offense like they need everyone's offense. Mike, you want to keep with your real pretentious theme with your theme this week. What was your theme as you look back over the week, Mr. Lieutenant?
I was hoping you would say that. This will need I'm not going to preface this with anything, but I went with a super pretentious one, and you went with like a real salt of the earth.
Which is weird because that's like a flip of our personalities. Yeah. Most people see me as the pretentious one, right? Like college professor, tweed, that sort of thing. But I like to put Mike in that role. It fits him much better in my mind.
Yeah. I'm going with this one from Friedrich Nietzsche. Hope is the worst of evils, for it prolongs the torment of man. I'm deep. If you couldn't figure it out, I'm deep. And
I'm deep.
But a little tortured.
A little tortured and deep. He would have been in an emo band in the early 2000s.
Yes, I would have. And I would have dominated the charts.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This is just like a distillation of my Morgan Freeman quote that I've done on here a bunch of times. Like, I've seen Hope kill a man, that sort of thing. You know, like, I love those. Those are great.
You were right between Freeman and Billy Bob Thornton on that one.
Mine comes from an excellent movie that's about beer league softball. It has the very on the nose title, fantastic comedy starring Artie Lang, called Beer League. It's just about a beer league softball team. But there's a character on the beer league softball team named Dirt. His name is just Dirt, right? He's an old man. He's always smoking a cigar. He's like the raunchiest, dirtiest old man. Dirtbag. He's a dirtbag. And there's a point where he's pitching and the guys are playing defense behind him. And he just says, "You disappoint me as much as my kids, for Christ's sake." And that's what I'm thinking about the Royals a lot of the week. Like, you disappoint me as much as my kids, for Christ's sake. I don't even have kids. That's how much I'm disappointed. Mike, what household chores do you refuse to do?
Window cleaning, pressure washing, and most importantly, gutter cleaning.
And why is that?
I got to spend significant amounts of time holding down my bed.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's going to fly away if you're not right there to keep it holding down.
Don't want a vertical bed.
No, you don't. If you're wise like Mike, reach out to the professionals at Window Wolf for all your window cleaning, gutter cleaning, and pressure washing needs. Window Wolf is a locally operated small business with all the professional know-how to keep your feet on the ground and your house or business shining bright. I've known the owner of Window Wolf for years, and I can tell you there's no one more reliable for high-quality service. Plus, Window Wolf is revolutionizing home maintenance with their new instant price calculator, which gives you a free quote without a home visit or entering a bunch of your personal information. Window Wolf is making the process easy and the price affordable. And for a limited time only, you can get 50% off when you book using their instant price calculator. Just visit windowwolf.com. That's windowwolf.com, and use the code ROYALS50. That's ROYALS50, no spaces, when using the instant price calculator, and save big bucks on quality service.
I'm paying $4 a gallon at the pump. I can't be paying full price for a gutter cleaning.
No, get that 50%. Be smart. Let the pack handle your pains with Window Wolf. The Royals are a conundrum. Or at least I hope they're a conundrum, because the alternative is way worse. I hope that they're better than they've played, but to some degree, no team is. It's all very mixed and confusing, you know? So I want us to take stock a little bit and pick a few surprising things about the 2026 season so far. But in an effort to be fair and balanced, like Mike's favorite news channel, so we'll offer 2 positive surprises and 2 negative surprises from the 2026 season. And because Mike's driving the Jesse Waters bandwagon, he gets to go first.
Team Tarlov, all right?
I can't even.
Yeah. Mark's a damn liar.
Fair and balanced, baby.
Keeping it fair and balanced, ladies.
Got to mix the lies with the truths. Got to be fair and balanced.
So let's start with my first negative surprise. We're going to keep it real here. First negative surprise. I just put Salvador Perez as a whole. And I'm only just dipping my toe in the water here, because this wasn't super surprising because of the age. The guy's old, guys. Right. He's old. We knew he was going to slow down at some point. He's got a 62 weighted runs created plus. I'd call that slow. Okay. Not good at all. All right.
That's your 4-hitter.
That's your 4-hitter every day, no matter what. He's batting .213. He's got an on base of .258, which we don't expect a huge on base, but he's got a .360 slugging percentage, guys. He's not doing it. Yeah, he leads the team in home runs. He's got 8, but that's not anywhere special right now in Major League Baseball or anything like that. So The production isn't what it needs to be. I'm hoping he had a good game today. Got 3 hits, I think 3 RBI. Great. All singles, I'm pretty sure. He might have sprinkled a double. I can't remember. But we can't have him hitting in the 4 spot and not producing at this rate, because it's going to get even worse and worse.
Yeah, it's rough, and it's hard to ever count him out, because we've seen long stretches of just
I'd say this is for sure a thing, but he may go on a run that's like unbelievable.
He might,
which he sometimes does.
Which he sometimes does, right? And so we're holding out for that, but at some point, Father Time is undefeated, and there's a reason for that. And so we'll see what Perez can do as the summer continues to heat up. My first negative surprise, I decided to go with Steven Cruz. He's got an 8.71 ERA. Ouch. And he's walking like over 5 guys per 9. Like, huge walk rate from Steven Cruz. And I chose him not because of Steven Cruz particularly, but because I think he represents the disappointing nature of the bullpen and the surprise at how ineffective it's been, and really how ineffective it's been because of walks. Like, this bullpen has walked a ton of batters, and in part it looks like they're doing it at times because they think they can't get swing and miss. Like, they're trying to be too fine outside the strike zone and do some chase, but they can't really. And at times it's just because they have a bunch of guys who aren't great strike throwers. Alex Lang is not a great strike thrower right now. Steven Cruz is not a great strike thrower. And so I worry about that, because they really needed Cruz. They really needed, Lucas Erceg to be better than he's been. In hindsight, they needed Carlos Estevez to not get hurt and be what he was last year. It's been a really disappointing trek from the bullpen, and I think Steven Cruz is somewhat emblematic of that.
Let's be honest. You're just putting him on there because he's your boy and you want to take some accountability.
No, when I take accountability, it's very loud and very proud. I love being accountable. A lot of crying in there, mostly. Mike, give me your number one surprise, your positive surprise. It's too gloomy in here.
Yeah, let's talk Michael Wacha then. Michael Wacha has been exactly what we needed Michael Wacha to be, just everything around him that's kind of crumbled to pieces. He's the steadying force, 2.70 ERA, 1.03 whip. How does a guy like Michael Wacha continue to do this when the stuff is not what it once was when he was younger? He says, okay, now I'm going to have a whole lot of pitches that are all kind of positives. He's got 4 pitches with positive run value so far this year. That's led by the fastball and the changeup, like it has been his whole career, but he's turning those other secondary pitches into weapons as well, which is helping do what he does, which is keep guys off balance now, get the occasional strikeout, but really understand how to pitch and how to command those pitches. And, there's 29 other teams in baseball who'd love to have a Michael Wacha at 34 or 5 years old in their starting rotation right now.
Yeah, and limit damage. I mean, he knows what to do when he
doesn't
needs
give up the big blow up inning.
He doesn't. He knows what he needs to do when some guy gets a leadoff double. Right? He knows what he needs to do in those situations to ensure that if that guy does score, he's the only guy who scores. Right? And that's huge for a team that's trying to stay in every single game and give themselves a chance to win, which is all teams. But it's huge for a team like the Royals when you're not likely to get 8 runs that night. And so he's been amazing. And without him, oh my Lord, who knows what the season would look like. My number one positive surprise is Bobby Witt Jr.'s walk rate. We've been talking about it for 4 years now. We want him to walk more. We'd like to see him, be a little bit more patient at the plate, especially in key situations and things like that. And I've always been, and 10 has always sort of been the number we've been asking for, 10%. He's right at 10% right now. He's walking. It's not his most productive offensive season so far, but that's because of other reasons. He's not pulling the ball in the air as much as he has in the past and things like that. But you think it could be in there, and I think he's got a better chance to get to that full offensive production, that full offensive potential, if he is walking at 10% or higher. And so watching him get on base more, or watching him walk to get on base, is something that I think can only spell good things as the season goes on.
God, can you imagine if you put a real thumper behind him?
I know, right? Like, that's the thing. If Vinny Pasquantino had come out and been August Vinny Pasquantino to start the year, Bobby Witt Jr. and Maikel Garcia would have so many more runs scored. Like, that would entirely change the offense for the Royals. It's just wild to think, but it would entirely change it. Mike, what's your second negative? I think we're ready to hear some bad news again.
It's Jack Caglione's power production. If I'd have told you at the beginning of the year that, okay, we've seen signs of improvement. He's got an average weighted runs created plus. He's, I think, at 101 right now. Would you say his ISO was 169? It doesn't seem, and he's got 5 home runs, which doesn't even lead this team. Not even close to leading this team, honestly. Carter Jensen has just as many home runs. It seems like the new approach he hasn't settled into what can create power for him. And part of that is that he still just hits too many ground balls. That's part of it. But we need to fix that launch angle. We need to get him to the point where he's consistent. And part of that is still approach. He's still swinging at too many pitches on the outer third, especially from lefties, but even against righties as well. We know what drives the ball out for Jack Caglione, and that's going to be anything middle in, and he doesn't even mind him up a little bit. Like, I'd say his best power zone is middle in and up rather than down and in. Usually lefties, it's down and in. But he just still doesn't have the kind of approach that can force pitchers to come into that area, And so that's unfortunate, but maybe it evolves more and maybe he does settle in. But I would have really hoped for a guy that has his amount of raw power that we saw when we're seeing signs of a better approach, we see that translate into power production like we have not so far.
No, and I posted a post on the Royals Weekly Substack in the offseason, I think just before the season started, that was like, it's not just an approach issue with him. It's an attack angle issue as well. And you can see that in the data now too, right? Like, he does not have a good ideal attack angle. And as a result, he doesn't get a ton of loft on the ball. He's got a very flat bat path, and it creates more ground balls than we would like. It creates sometimes some powerful line drives, and those are good, but not the type of launch angle that you see associated with a lot of home run hitters, right? And so, I think it's about working on that with him. I think it's about working on the approach to the point where he can trigger earlier so he can start pulling some of these balls and really get him out and up and out of right field, because obviously the juice is there. It's about where's he contacting the ball. It's about what does his attack angle look like, and they'll continue to work on that. I mean, I think it's one step at a time. I don't think you can ask a guy to transform overnight, but it would have been great to see him come out and put up like a nice 200 ISO to start the year. My negative surprise is going to be Carter Jensen related, but it has nothing to do with offense. It's his blocking issues, the issues he's had blocking balls behind the plate. We knew he wasn't great at it. I kind of hoped he would get better at it over the offseason. He hasn't really gotten any better at it. And as he's gotten more catching time with Salvi's injury, he's really been exposed in some really key moments with those blocking issues. He's got a -2 run value on blocking as a defender. You can tell, and that has impacts beyond just his blocking, right? Like, now our pitchers not super thrilled to throw a pitch that might be in the dirt with him back there, right? In key moments. We've seen some pitchers even express not happy thoughts about Carter Jensen. I think Seth Lugo was a little critical of him after a game once. Maybe it wasn't for the blocking. I can't remember why now, but it's one of those things where it's like, you have to be a good, reliable blocker of the ball and a good receiver. At times he's just had difficulty catching the ball back there. And it's one of those things, still super young, still, learning to catch, not overly worried about it, but it's one of those things that's been a little bit of a negative surprise for me. All right, Mike, give us your number 2 positive surprise. Let's get back to something happy. We're going to end on a positive note.
This was just genuinely surprising for me. Shocking, actually.
You were one of the lowest people on him, and I knew you'd be sideswiped. Yeah.
I mean, when those 3 came up, it was Kowar, Singer, and Daniel Lynch. He was the guy
and Chris
the lowest
Bubic,
one of the 3.
And Chris Bubic.
Yeah, but I had those 3 kind of grouped differently than Bubic. But he was probably the lowest I was on the 4 of them. And then, what we've seen so far, I was like, well, he's your last guy in the bullpen, and okay. He's the last guy. Daniel Lynch has been unbelievably good this year. And it's on the back of a 30% K rate so far this year. He's found a way to stay away from his worst pitch, the 4-seam fastball, which still does not have good numbers, is still not a very good pitch. and lean more heavily into the sinker, but really it's leaning more heavily into the secondary pitches that have gotten slightly better. And so he's throwing, I think he's only throwing the four seamer 18% of the time, where now he's throwing the sinker, the slider, I think the changeup about evenly at a roughly 75% for the three, about 25 to 28% for those three. That's going to be a good mix for him because he gets to keep him on off balance, and he gets to really lean heavily into the sinker, which at least may not get a lot of swing and miss, but is not going to get a lot of damage done to it. And that's really what you're looking for. And so bravo, Daniel Lynch, keep it up. I still have my questions on, can he be a guy in the 7th or 8th that you can really high leverage count on? But that's the first stepping stone to gaining my trust there, buddy. So keeping that 30% strikeout rate.
And I think if you'll recall, you and I were screaming for him to do something about the fastball for a long time before he even became a reliever. We were like, hey, and in fact, I think one of the early Royals Weekly YouTube videos I ever made was, Daniel Lynch, you need to add a cutter or a sinker, right? I thought it would be the cutter, but he needed something to offset the fact that his four-seam fastball is not very good, right? Like, and it won't be good. He's added velocity, hasn't really made it any better. It's because it's nothing to do with velocity. It's about shape. The shape is really, really bad. And so, yeah, great on him for adding that sinker because it's really just revitalized his career, honestly, and made him so much better as a reliever. And they need it desperately. So that's good. My positive surprise, and this is the big positive surprise for me, the thing that's really making me happy, Kyle Isbell's offense, right? Like, I think we've all been pleasantly surprised by it. We saw him put together a game today. I think he had a hit. He had a sacrifice fly. He put down a very important
beautiful bunt.
It was a great bunt that, I don't know if they called it a hit with an error or if they called it an error, like a two-base error or what, but like, he's got a 98 weighted runs created plus, which is basically league average as a hitter. And if he can be that, he's a very, very, very valuable player because obviously he's a great defender. He's a 9-hitter, does small things for you, runs the base as well, unlike some other Royals. And so Isbell putting together a case to be a fairly valuable free agent when he comes up, not this offseason, but the following offseason. And so a guy who, another guy who also might be an important trade chip for them. If they do get to the deadline and they're clearly not in it, teams will be calling about Kyle Isbell because he's played really, really well this year. They know they can get great defense out of him. They know he can do small things. They'll be calling about Kyle Isbell, and he deserves all the sort of credit that he's been getting. Royals Weekly is brought to you by All In Physical Therapy, who don't just offer the best in physical therapy in the KC Metro, they also offer the best in summer speed and conditioning programs for youth athletes who want to make the big gains this summer.
You may have to buy them some new clothes because they're going to be hulking right out of the old ones.
Mm-hmm. If your child is interested in getting the most of their athleticism, check out the videos of All In's summer speed and conditioning program on their Instagram feed. And of course, All In always offers the best in physical therapy for post-surgery or athletic injury patients. They offer a personalized one-on-one experience to meet your specific therapy goals.
We all have specific therapy goals. I'm trying to forgive my father. Some people are trying to eradicate hip pain. Same.
It's the emotional stuff matters too. Learn more about how All In Physical Therapy can get your body on track at allin-pt.com. That's ALLIN-pt.com. Or give these very nice people a call at 816-427-5300. That's 816-427-5300. All In Physical Therapy, your recovery goals are their number one priority. The Royals continue their long homestand to start the week with a 3-game series against the visiting New York Yankees. They get a day off on Thursday as they wing their way south for a 3-gamer against the Texas Rangers. Mike, tell us all about them damn Yankees.
We hate them. They are 31-22, which is second in the AL East, but would probably be first in the AL Central, I imagine. In game one, we will see Michael Walker versus Will Warren, the 26-year-old righty out of Southeastern Louisiana University. 3.61
The Fighting, Mike, what are they?
Southeastern Louisiana. Roosters?
I'm going to go with it because I don't actually know the answer.
I have no
Go
clue.
Roosters.
No clue. They're the slew of Louisiana, Southeastern Louisiana University. 3.61 ERA and a 1.18 whip for Will Warren. And I think we saw Will Warren when we were in New York, if I'm not mistaken. He's had a great year. He's got a four-seam fastball at 93-94, a sinker, a sweeper, a changeup, and a curveball. He's lowered his walk rate significantly this year, so likely the Royals will be swinging quite a bit. No shocker there. Sweeper's been hit a lot, even though it is his number one secondary pitch. In game two, we do not know who will be going for the Kansas City Royals. Could be a bullpen game. Let's see. I wouldn't imagine Reagans would be ready to go because
I read the earliest he would be with the Rangers series.
Yeah, so probably a bullpen game there. We will see what they come up with, but they're going to be going against Cam Schlitter, so no problem. 25-year-old righty Cam Schlitter out of Northeastern University with a 1.50 ERA and just a 0.86 whip. The dominant force of the Yankees starting pitching rotation this year, especially with Garrett Cole out most of the year so far. He's got a four-seam fastball at 97-98, a cutter, a sinker, a curveball, and a slider, an absolutely elite fastball. 100th percentile in run value. He is an early Cy Young contender. He is a dominant power strikeout pitcher for the Yankees there. That's going to be a tough one.
At least he also doesn't walk very many guys, so that's great.
Yeah. In game three, we're going to see Noah Cameron versus said Garrett Cole in just his second start of the year since coming back from, I believe, Tommy John.
I think it was Tommy John.
Yeah.
He was out all last year.
35-year-old righty out of UCLA. He was a number one overall pick. I mean, he's been a great pitcher in Major League Baseball for a while. 3.41 ERA, 1.13 whip last year.
Not last year, 2024. He didn't pitch last year.
The last year that he pitched, we mean. He's still got a four-seam fastball that's roughly 96-97, a sinker, a slider, a changeup, and a curveball. His first outing this year, his only outing this year, he went 6 innings pitched with 2 hits, 0 runs, 3 walks, just 2 strikeouts, which is a little odd for Garrett Cole. And that was against the Rays. Still throws a lot of fastballs, still uses that pitch to set up all the other secondaries. So tough little run there. Will Warren, Cam Schlitter, Garrett Cole. That's not an easy run of starting pitchers to go against. So maybe the Royals will surprise us, do something big.
There's a reason they're so good. There's a reason they're 9 games. What are they? 9 games over 500? Yeah, there's a reason they're 9 games over 500 while we're 9 games under 500. After that, the Royals will head down south to face the Rangers, the land of Bobby Witt Jr. The Rangers are 24-27. That's good for second in the AL West, also not having a great year, apparently, the AL West. Their offense, exactly league average, 100 weighted runs created plus. They're tied for 15th in Major League Baseball. Getting a good year from Josh Young at a 133 weighted runs created plus, Ezekiel Duran, a 128, and Brandon Nimmo, who just seems to keep hitting as he gets older, 125 weighted runs created plus. They're getting some good years from other guys who haven't played full seasons up to this point. And so we'll see if they come in with a pretty good looking offense if they got all these guys in the lineup. The pitching side of things has been even better for them in parts. Pitching-wise, they're at 3.67 ERA, which is 8th in Major League Baseball. Their starters, though, haven't really been the ones carrying it. It's been more the bullpen. Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom have pretty good years going. Eovaldi has a 3.65 ERA. deGrom has a 3.86. Good, not as dominant as they have been in the past. Everybody else in the rotation has like a 4.5 ERA or higher, 4.2, something like that. Because, like I said, the rotation's not the thing carrying them. Their bullpen has been quite good. And that includes former Royals legend Jacob Junis has a 1.71 ERA out of their bullpen. They've had a few bullpen guys make spot starts here, like bullpen games. So their pitching has been good, but it's kind of a patching it together sort of good, not we have 5-6 dominant starters like the Mariners do or like the Yankees do and stuff like that. So hopefully we can grab a couple of wins from that Ranger series and take a series this week. Royals Weekly is brought to you by Eric Oxer of West USA Realty. Word spreading about the hottest realtor in the Phoenix area. This kid's got the know-how, he's got the drive, he's got the thoughtful care to help you secure your dream retirement home. And let's face it, Phoenix is a dream. Sun, golf, baseball.
Ox specializes in homes where you can be in the sun, play golf, and watch baseball at the same time. 'Cause I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. That's right.
Okay, we're going to get sued for that. Eric Oxer ranked in the top 3% of agents in all of Arizona for the first quarter of 2026. Why? Because for Eric, it's not about him. It's about you. He's going to spend day and night grinding to find you the house of your dreams and get you the best price for it.
Heat stroke, sunburn, whatever weird disease you get in the desert, Ox walks those things off to find you the right place to live.
Absolutely. Find Eric Oxer of West USA Realty online at ericoxer.com. That's ERICKAUXIER.com. Or just give him a call or shoot him a text at 480-383-9745. That's 480-383-9745. Be wise. If you're ready to make the move, let Eric make the experience all about you. Let's end this week's episode like we end every episode. What do you say, Mike?
Let's do it.
I like routine. I love
Nothing
routine.
original.
Nothing original from us.
Doing.
Screw original. Right. It's overrated. This last segment, if you don't know, if you're a new listener, which I don't think we've had one in several years, this is the segment where we talk about something that's interesting to us outside the world of baseball. It's our 5 minutes, talk about whatever we want segment. Mike, what's been going on in your life over the course of the last week? Lots of interesting stuff, I'm sure.
So many interesting things, actually. My son had his tonsils out last Wednesday. You know,
no, we said interesting
the end
things.
The end of school. So nothing much going on there. I'd rather talk about some just give some shout outs today. That's what I want to do. First shout out goes to our best friend in the world. Well, a classy guy, just a wonderful human being. Well, him and Ox, you know, they're our best friends in the world. Mickey Vest, our good friend Mickey Vest, is celebrating his 40th birthday. So I know he listens to the show. I want to give him a shout out.
Wonderful.
He could not make it to his birthday party this weekend, which sucks because you are in New York and I have a son who's recovering from tonsil surgery. So couldn't get up there. And happy birthday to he and his daughter. His daughter shares a close birthday. Annabelle, his oldest daughter, turned 10 today. So congratulations to both of them. Love you guys. We will see you soon. I promise. And then
whether you like it or not,
shout out. Yeah, we're going to be there. So that's happening. My next shout out is for Memorial Day. Have some fun with your family on Memorial Day, everybody. Enjoy yourself. If you get time, remember a veteran who, paid the ultimate price, gave their last full measure of devotion. That's what the day is for. If you don't recall that, it isn't just for barbecues and sitting in the sun, though that can be done too. Okay. But if you've got a service member who served in your family who's no longer with us, go visit their grave or think about them, talk about them, remember them. Just tell some stories about them. That's always a great thing to do as well. So, shout out to our good friend Mickey and have a good time on Memorial Day, everybody.
I'll be having a good time at the Baseball Hall of Fame. But one of the cool things they do there is highlight the service of former baseball players. So we're going to look at that.
All righty.
I'm here because I discovered something that has, I'm going to say, changed my life. And that is a product known as Grace's Cookies, right? So I'm in the store a while back trying to eat healthier these days. But I want a little treat, a little snack sometimes. I come across these cookies that are like healthier than other cookies. In fact, they're right here. They're so good I brought them on this road trip with me. And I started eating them, and now I'm addicted.
Be getting a paycheck from this company.
We're not. I did email them, and I was like, hey, I'm giving you an endorsement because I'm so in love with your cookies. This is a Parkville company. Like these cookies are made in Parkville. Right.
Sweet.
Yeah. And so, I emailed them. I was like, yep, just like Carter Jensen, made in Parkville. They are so effing good, and they're not that bad for you. Relative to other cookies, they're pretty not bad for you, and they're pretty small. So you can eat like six of them as a serving, but you can also just have a couple and feel like, okay, I had a little sweet snack. That's good. Right. Like, of course, if you're like me, you have a couple. I call it lunch dessert, right? That's my lunch dessert. And then I have a couple more for dinner dessert. And then I have a few hundred more for snack dessert. And so I'm eating these by the package these days. They're so good. They are so good. You can see on here they're called sunflower seeds and chocolate chip cookies. I mean, I can't describe how good they are. They're just insane. The second you start eating one, you will eat a second and a third and a fourth. They're so good. Give Grace's cookies a shot. I don't know if you can find them everywhere. I got them in Constantino's. I think you can probably get them a lot of places in the Midwest. But if not, go to their website and buy them from there because that's how good they are. I promise you will love them. Yeah, so that's my little just about outside. I've been obsessed with these cookies for the last week. Had some stuff go wrong for me this last week. Some real shitty stuff happened to me this week. These cookies are pulling me through. Okay? They're pulling me through. Thank you so much, Grace, for your cookies. I very much appreciate it. That's all we have for you this week. Make sure you're subscribing to the Substack if you want more Royals Weekly content, royalsweekly.substack.com. We'll be back again next Monday with another episode. Until then, be good to each other.
And go Royals.